Hi everyone, this is the Recreate Reality Podcast with Michael and Teresa. Today, we are talking Survivor Australia, Brains vs Brawn II. We are recapping the whole of last week from episodes 13 to 15. For anyone who hasn't watched the show, there are massive spoilers ahead. In today's episode, Paulie goes from baddie to buddy. Logan gives off her Regina George vibes, while Laura and the rest of the tribe tries to pacify her. And lastly, Miles, he rises from jungle rat to king of the rats, causing chaos wherever he goes. If you've missed the episode, you can catch all the action on 10play. Australia Survivor, Brain vs Brawn II, episodes 13 to 15, breakdown coming up.
Okay. Wow, there goes my car alarm going off. What a week.
Oh, it's been a great, great 3 episodes. I have been so excited to talk about it. Yeah.
This has been like a really good season so far, I have to say. It started slow. I think now, the last few episodes, I've been completely entertained, fulfilled. The gameplay is matching the characters and the entertainment. Before, it was seeming a little bit stagnant.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad for it. I'm so here for it. It's so good. It's so entertaining. And I hope everyone's been enjoying it. What a season to date. What a few episodes.
Yeah, I think so for me, actually, I felt like the season started fast because we had Nash the Rash, who started playing an idol very quickly.
Cant.
We had Cant.
Yeah.
We had Zen going home. But to be honest, I think towards the middle, there was a little bit of like a slow lull because like in the last few episodes, we saw out of 3 episodes, only one person had gone home.
Yeah.
But with this one, we're seeing a lot of Miles has been causing a lot of chaos. So should we get into just a quick recap of what happened?
This week was a comeback week, and the theme of the week was erratic men pissing off emotional women. It was so complicated. The cross relationships I found this week, there were so many cross alliances, relationships that we saw come into play due to the merge and the tribe swap, that there were so many layers of relationships that I'd forgotten about. And we saw that come into play with a lot of the trust issues, the communication, the schemes that were unfolding. So people that we thought were against each other were actually for each other, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't as clear as, say, Coven versus Bomb Squad, for example. There were so many more layers within that had been formed, and it paid off finally.
Yeah.
Which was really good to see. All these, not just good players making good moves, but these relationships and investments in relationships paying off.
Yeah, and I think it's always exciting when it's merged, because, everyone goes from 2 teams to 1 team.
Yeah.
Some people have not even met each other.
Yeah.
Some people, they've come back together, but you're not sure if they can work together.
Like Zara and Laura, for example. That's an interesting relationship. And then Logan coming in against AJ, being reunited. So many interesting redynamics that we saw this episode. And let's talk about merge for a little bit. Drop your buffs. It's the landmark of any Survivor season, really, to make it to merge, right?
Yeah,
it's the playoffs. It's the Super Bowl. It's
the
where
bucket
you want to
list.
get. It's the bucket list. If you haven't made it to merge, you haven't played.
Yeah,
basically.
I think so. And I think out of merge, you also really just want to get onto Jury Villa. So you don't want to be the first couple of ones voted off during merge.
Yeah.
You want to be at least the first couple of people in Jury Villa.
Exactly, because players that don't get to merge are rarely remembered.
Yeah.
Rarely invited back. And if you make it to merge, you make it to Jury Villa. Not only do you get a chance to make an impression, but you get a chance to make an impression on the result by voting for the winner. That gives you more of an impact on the game and connection to the game. This is where you want to be. This is definitely where you want to be.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so they drop your buffs, they talk about a tribe, Malosi, and we get to a hang challenge, and ChatGPT, otherwise known as AJ, tries to pick up Kate. What do we think of this? How's his pickup game?
He's very, very complimentary, and I have to say, AJ, he actually can be very, very charming. He's actually quite nice, I think sometimes he can maybe piss off people a little bit, but I think it tends to be more people who are who want a lot of structure who want things to be very ordered
and attention.
Yeah, and and for him to tell him but if you're actually just someone like Kate, who's more of like a party girl, anything goes.
Yeah.
I think it's actually okay. It probably is actually quite fun.
I think the work that he does on Kate starting from this point really pays off in the next 3 episodes. It may look a bit cringe and obvious to us, but that's all it is. That's all what being charming is, just being complimentary and listening, right?
Yeah.
And it works. And sometimes a girl just wants to hear that her eyes are pretty. You know what I mean?
I want to hear that.
Your eyes are lovely.
Thank you.
Join my alliance. But it works.
It works.
But we see Karen just being like, oh, there he is being charming. And I don't think it's really a reaction to AJ being sleazy. It's more that he's stepping out of her control. Because she had this alliance relationship with him. They were tight with the graduates. And now he's expanding his power, his tentacles, his relationships. And she's not privy to that. And she don't like that.
Yeah.
That's
and
what
also
I think.
maybe she's a little bit cut that, he didn't pay her the same compliments that he does to Kate.
I mean, yeah. Fair enough.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think she's pissed about AJ forming new friends. Because, as we see, they go to the cocktail party and it's, Karen's pissed.
Yeah.
Stop having so much fun.
I know.
And she invites all the party girls and AJ, and it's quite funny.
I know. And so this is actually the first reward challenge. And I think it really sets the mood of who can work with who, because as we've seen, so Logan and Zara, they agreed to let Kate win. So that, and she'll take them to the reward challenge. Right. So she takes Morgan, AJ, I think there's someone else, I can't quite remember. But anyway, so this is where she and AJ actually form that relationship. And I think it does help because it's the start of something, it's based off something very pleasant. There's canapes, there's cocktails. Oh yeah, sorry, Polly's the other one that goes.
Yeah.
And it's just fun.
Yeah.
Amidst all the seriousness of tribal, or all the seriousness and starvation of tribal, of Survivor.
And so Logan, we see a scene after all this, festivities and socializing where Logan says, when I say I want him gone, I want him gone. She's talking about AJ, right? And she's talking about her new formed alliance. And she says, if you don't do this for me, I feel like you're not on my team. And she's really putting her foot down, it feels like, with Laura and Zara here.
Yeah.
How do you think this comes across?
Emotional blackmail?
Yeah. Let's talk about this for a little bit. What Logan does here.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so I think in a way I do get where she's coming from, because she's always wanted AJ out ever since the beginning. That we've always known. But I guess people have always said, and to be honest, to their credit, other bigger threats have actually come up. You had Indy, who actually betrayed all the ghost trusts of the coven, and told the boys, that they were actually gunning for Rich. There has just actually been other targets, and I think Logan sees this as no one's respecting me, no one's listening to me. It's not, they're listening, but it's just that they just don't think that's a good idea. And I think there is a difference in that. Everyone has their own agenda. Yeah. You don't always have to vote together. And also, the fact that she allows herself, she could have voted for AJ, but she's choosing not to.
Exactly.
But she's kind of blaming it on everyone else.
I think her, I hate to say it, but her emotionality, her emotion at this point is ruling her decision making, and she feels as though she's not being heard, right? But really she has been heard as far as I'm concerned. Laura and Zara have placated her a lot. Yeah. It's not that she hasn't been heard, it's that she's been outplayed. Okay, so first vote of merge is often an important one, and what we've often seen in the past, right, is it's often a big physical threat that is going, because you go from alliance threats and team threats to individual threats, right? And so often when it comes to merge, you see the Sean Hempsteads, the Lockies, these kind of guys go out very early on in merge. And so for me, the writing is on the wall for a Jesse, to be in trouble.
The alpha male, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And to be honest, I think Jesse wasn't doing himself any favors too, like with the girls. I mean, he had this like joke about forming like a mega alliance.
Yeah.
He was kind of like telling everyone what to do, including like he wasn't being very nice to Miles at all.
No.
Yeah, and to be honest, like even though I think before merge, even though Miles was at the bottom, I think like maybe some of the other girls, like maybe Kate or Morgan, she seems like she's actually quite kind.
Yes.
Yeah. I think there's a difference. Like, you know, like someone can be at the bottom, but you can actually still be civil to them without actually being disrespectful.
Keep a
but
relationship.
I didn't feel like Jesse was doing that.
Exactly. And I think he had underestimated Miles and his relationships with all the other guys, thinking they would just follow him. And of course, he's lost Ben by this point too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think that was also a big like buddy thing.
He's a little bit rudderless. He's broless at this point.
We also see that PD was not actually really with him too. I think
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this challenge I thought was made for Jesse. It was like this skateboardery thing.
Yeah.
Where they had to balance some balls on a beam. However, he gets to the end and Logan wins and she contributes it to Pilates and wine.
And she makes quite a big show out of it.
Makes a big show out of it. And flexes a little bit on everybody. Does a little bit of pose and a bit... Very, very proud of herself.
Yeah,
Good on
and she's
her.
like, oh, I'm not going to travel. I don't need to like bring my stuff. I don't need to bring my shoes. Okay, so that was a interesting thing. Okay, now the thing that I kind of like raised my eyebrows about was during the challenge, Laura had, I think Laura had gotten out of the challenge. Like, you know, she dropped her balls. But it was actually what she said because I think she just seemed so frustrated and she was like, I could have won that, you know?
Yeah, she was trying to manifest that as well, I think. that wasn't never going to work out. This actually requires amazing balance, coordination, and skill. And we haven't seen that kind of stuff from Laura, I'm sorry to say. Like, Jess is a world-class skateboarder, and you ain't going to... And, you know...
Yeah, because at first I was like, when I heard, I was like, what is she saying? Because like during all the challenges before, we've never actually seen her you know, been prominent. She's actually set out on a lot of challenges.
Yeah. Look, sometimes it's the truth you tell yourself is the easiest truth to tell overall. You know what I mean?
Maybe in her mind, she actually honestly did think that, you know, I could have won that. But I think realistically, it's probably quite a hard reach.
And so we get to Tribal, and it seems like it's Kate's plan coming to fruition, and her plan was to get out Jesse. So the two targets were Paulie and Jesse. So we get AJ, Kristen, Miles, PD, and Laura voting for Paulie, but Paulie's just the minor split, and the major split is Jesse.
Yeah.
With Kaylin, Karen, Kate, Logan, Zara, and Morgan.
Yeah.
Zara gets a couple of votes. Jesse and Paulie, but yeah, Jesse in trouble. Jesse goes home.
Yeah, I think so. To be honest, he seemed actually quite chill about it.
Yeah.
Like he actually showed really good sportsmanship. I mean, he's a professional skater, so he's probably used to like winning and losing. You know, it's okay. Yeah. But I think, you know, he took it on the chin really well.
Look, we just wanted to get through that episode so we could talk about the next episode, episode 14.
So the next episode, I think, is when
the one.
Things really, really start to happen. And I'm glad because I think in the beginning of the episode, so what has come out of this is that there are a lot of buddies in the tribe.
Yeah.
You've got the buddy of like Kate Morgan, you have got AJ and Mouse, you've got Laura and Logan, you've got Pete, Tristan, Karen and Zara.
The only ones that don't have a buddy, right, are Paulie, who is severely missing that.
Yeah.
And you see what a sad sack he is on the beach this day. He's feeling very lonesome, very winsome, and yeah, he's having a bit of a sook. Everyone is like saying, "Oh, did you see him last night complaining about the bruise on his face?" And he's got a big bandage. He's got a headache. He's having a bad morning. But the only one that doesn't have a buddy other than him is Kaylin.
Yeah, Kaylin. So actually, Kaylin flies under the radar a lot.
Kaylin's killing it.
Kaylin's great. Like he does not need a buddy. He's actually still good.
Kaylin
like
doesn't need a buddy.
No one considers him a threat. Everyone thinks of him as a friend. Like Kaylin is playing an outstanding game.
This is what I was thinking. Like, okay, we see over the next 2 episodes him win immunity after immunity. He's
definitely a challenge beast.
He's on the inside of every single conversation. When it's the Coven or the graduates talking, he's there. When it's the bomb squad talking, he's there. Just like, yeah. He's privy to every conversation. He's won 2 immunities, and yet no one has ever mentioned... He hasn't copped 1 vote.
No.
He is so likable, so affable, and so popular on this tribe. He gets a hug later when AJ doesn't. He is just in a great spot.
He is.
He's
and
playing
I think this
the sweet game.
Yeah, and I think this is very interesting because, like, say, I think in the end, okay, so, like, who people perceive as threats in the game is not necessarily who actually wins the immunity or has the idol, because we know Kirsten has had an idol and everyone openly knows about it.
Right.
Yet, no one has actually gone for Kirsten yet.
Yeah.
Kaylin has, like, won, 2 immunities, you know, but no one has actually written down his name. But there are just some people who, when they start to have an idol or start to win immunity, people are just like automatically, oh my god, that's a threat.
Exactly.
Yeah, because then it shows. It's not really about the idol or the immunity. I mean, it will later on in the game. But in the beginning, like, I think it's just threat level. And I think that comes down to personality.
Yeah.
And whether people perceive you as being someone that they can work with. But I think with Kirsten and Kaylin, you can always... And Morgan is another one, I think. You know, you can always work with them. They're always willing to listen.
Yeah.
They don't shut you down. You know, they're just like, okay, you know, that might be one of my options. You know, they're very open in the way they communicate.
And also they're not leading the charge in actively taking out people. They're just flowing with the flow of the conversation, really.
Yeah.
They're not leading the charge on any votes in getting anyone out. So that's interesting because the 3 of them, I mean, Morgan's a literal Olympian, and no one has ever said, hey, shouldn't we get out that physical threat?
Yeah.
Like, she stands a head taller than any other person on the tribe. She's full of muscle, and no one has ever said, hey, she's going to kill us all. Because even if she does, she's not a threatening player because she's predictable, she's affable, and she's pliable to strategy.
Yeah, and also maybe another thing is also, like, I think players who don't seem super strategic.
That's
like,
it,
or super, super strategic.
So strategy is more threatening than physicality. Unless it's physicality plus strategy.
Yeah.
And then you become
that's like a double whammy.
Scary threat. So in the challenge, it ends up being Kaylin and Kristen. They're doing like this chin-up thing. Paulie, I thought it was going to be Paulie's challenge because he's very light, lean, and has a... But Kaylin's back gets all the shine here.
Yeah, he does.
So, but Kristen did really well.
Yeah, she did, actually.
And it's not till she was holding up the thing that you realize how physically impressive.
Yeah, and she is actually, like, you know, older than a lot of the people there.
She's the oldest one on the island left, I think. Other than
besides PD.
PD, but
I think,
she kills it. So well done to Kristen. And so pre-tribal, we get this conversation, right? Miles approaches. We get quite a few developments, but let's get to the nitty gritty, the meat of the week. Miles, right? So pre-tribal, Miles approaches Laura. And they both agree, you know what? We can work with Paulie. He's on the bottom, and he hasn't been trustworthy, but now, finally, we can work with this guy because he's been humbled so much that he will take whatever scraps we give him and he'll vote how we want him to vote.
And Miles understands that because he has been on the bottom, and he said, like, you know, what you want to do now is just to prove trust. Yeah,
exactly. And it's PD who they feel is not flexible, who won't work with them. And so they sort of talk about keeping Paulie instead, which is really interesting. But Laura doesn't want to piss off Logan. Yeah. And this is the beginning of the end for Laura, I think. How she sort of tips off Miles that she's beholden to Logan so much that she can't move without him. And this is why I think Miles goes... There's that, and also the fact that Laura's betrayed him in the past. But this is where I think it's like, okay, I probably can't work with you long term, Laura.
Yeah, I think so.
Because you just will not do anything without Logan.
And unfortunately, Logan is too emotional to listen to reason.
Yeah. And this is what hurts Laura. She'll never leave Logan's side. Yeah. She'll always be the plus one. And she hasn't really considered how to make this game her own. Yeah.
Well, what do you think about their relationship? Because... like, I think in every other buddy relationship, like say with Kate and Morgan, uneven. I feel like with Kate and Morgan, they both seem quite reasonable. They're actually willing to listen and then, you know, but kind of like move together.
It's very uneven.
Yeah, Laura and Logan, it's almost like one is a little bit narcissistic and one has to like kind of like bend herself around the other person.
Yeah, she says later on, like the way Logan talks to Laura is almost like a secretary best friend. Like when you hire your best friend to work for you.
Yeah.
and it never works because you're both friends and in a professional relationship. And she's like, oh, you needed to be across that. You need to be across this. And Laura's like, yeah, I should have. And it's one very
dominant,
emotional, dominant, strong person, and one person, Laura, who's very diplomatic and placating and wants to please everyone.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a very difficult dynamic to get far with, I feel like, for them both to be...
I think so, and it doesn't seem like it's a very healthy relationship as well. I mean, it's early days, you know. But I think, like, to be honest, I think I like Laura. Like, I think in the real world, I think Laura would actually be someone who's actually nice to hang out with because she is sensitive, she is diplomatic, she's very agreeable.
Yeah, she's
great.
You know,
but
she's
like, it's just this is the circumstances are just this is Survivor. You know, like that just does not cut it, and you kind of do have to adapt.
This is Kill Island, right?
Yeah.
And even though Laura survived this episode, I feel like in not choosing a definitive side, she didn't get protection. Because she didn't really go with the... Okay, yes, she went with Logan and all that, but that actually raised her threat level to everybody else. I think this was a big opportunity for her to jump ship off the Logan sinking thing, is what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
I think this was her last opportunity that we see. Even though she doesn't go home right away because of this, I feel like this was her chance to get away from that.
Yeah, but she was never going to do it.
She was never going to do it.
I think it will be pretty much like against her character.
Against her character, but we saw poorly.
And that's okay. Like, you know, you don't really know. You think that you will make all these moves when you go to Survivor, but really your Survivor instinct kicks in, and it's like you can't. But we saw her in
the past sort of ditch the Miles bandwagon and abandon that ship when it was...
Oops.
When they were with Brains 2.0.
Yeah.
When Miles went down, she voted against Miles to save herself. We've seen Paulie save himself against Ursula. Laura wasn't going to do it again, and she wasn't going to do it this time against Logan. Their relationship is too intact, too strong for her to do this. But that inability to flex kind of hurt her, because even Miles says, like, at some point you're going to have to step on some toes. You're going to have to make a choice. Yeah. You're going to have to make your own game. And her inability to flex here sort of grouped them together as a doomed pair.
Yeah, that's true. That's it. I mean, Laura, her mantra is trust forever, trust for life. So, you know, what do you expect?
What do you expect?
You know, like, I mean, you know, that's what you get. And, you know, I think that's okay, like, in the real world. But maybe just in Survivor, it's just not going to get too far.
Yeah. Speaking of, Kate and Morgan, due to their flexibility, seem to be in every single conversation, I've noticed. They are in every single chat, every single conversation. They are across... They're just there everywhere. They always seem to be the swing vote. Very interesting how they position themselves.
Yeah, and I think they're in a really good position because they kind of are not so much a threat, but they're still kind of like in it, and they can decide.
They can decide. They're inside the information.
Yeah, because like say...
like Kaylin.
Like Kaylin, like, you know, I mean, as we see a little bit later on, like, you know, they decide that, you know, they would rather work with AJ than with Logan. Yeah. You know, and, you know, that's where the vote goes.
Yeah, so those two are interesting because they are coming across a lot more strategic, rational, and cool, level-headed about their decision making.
Yeah.
They're willing to work across, and this is so big in Survivor to make it to the long-term game, is working with people that you don't necessarily like or agree with, right? I feel like Logan here, okay, let's talk about Logan. Logan's truth, okay? She says, and I quote, "Every time I put a vote out there, it gets dismissed and it gets parked." She really feels like no one is hearing her, no one is playing her game, and that she's not getting any agency. But the truth is, she has the most agency at this moment. She's running the tribe. It's her voice. And this is her way of getting things, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Like, she's not at the bottom of the tribe. She's not like Paulie or Miles, who actually has had to scramble for like the last few tribals. She's at the top. She's actually been sitting quite pretty in an alliance, you know, from day one. Like, you know, she's got like the Coven alliance. She's got the alliance with Laura. So she's actually in a really good spot, but she actually just, you know, kind of...
I think this is just her truth, her way of leveraging everyone to vote against AJ. I think this is just the language she's using maybe to get everyone to go against AJ.
Well, I'll be curious to see if did she actually start using this kind of language ever since she got the idol? Because maybe now she's like, oh, I feel secure, I have this sense. Because, and we often see when people start to have an idol, they feel more confident, they feel more secure. They start, flexing a little bit and being more direct and being more on the offense.
Yeah, I just don't like this. I think this is a big mistake in her gameplay, if I might be so frank. Okay, because, you feel like you're not being heard and you feel like, your voice is getting dismissed, but it's not about that. Your voice is only 1/8 of the rest of the voices in your alliance. It's about finding an agreeable path and incentive for everybody else to do what you would also like to do. It's not like, oh, it's my turn to make a call. Everybody needs to listen to me because I haven't been heard. That's a very difficult alliance for other people to get on board with. Do you know what I mean? I think what she had to do, and this obviously isn't her in her character, but find a way to say, hey, Karen, Kate, Morgan, how would you see your games going forward? I think if we don't get rid of AJ, they're going to gun for us. Give them incentive to build on so that they have agency and also incentive to work with her, to work for her path, but make it feel like it's their idea and their prerogative as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But here she makes it clearly all about her prerogative, her feelings, her everything. And I know that's tough. You're on the island, you just get cranky and hangry and all this stuff. But I feel like this really hurt other people hearing her.
I think so.
The fact that she's saying other people weren't hearing her. They just tuned out even more. And so she was emotional rather than strategic because what everybody else was saying was true. Is that you could use Paulie. How far could you really use PD and Kristen, really?
Okay, I think to be honest, in her defense though, because she's actually quite close with Kirsten. So Kirsten and PD comes as a block. So she actually has a block of 2 votes. So maybe PD might not work with Laura, might not work with Miles, but he does work, he'll work with Kirsten, who will work with Logan.
Yeah, true that.
So that's all right.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think in which cases, maybe the way she pushes people to do something is just not the right way, I guess.
Yeah. True.
Can we talk a little bit? Are we?
No,
okay. Can we talk a little bit about how? Okay, so Kirsten has an idol, and she is actually willing to play that for PD, even though he didn't ask for it. So this is actually in kind of direct contrast to previous episodes when Paulie has actually tried to guile Kirsten into playing the idol for him, and Kirsten's just because
the way Paulie said it was, oh, if you play your idol, it'll be good for you, and then we can do this, da-da-da. The way PD does it is actually very gentle, suggestive. If you have your idol, I would never ask you to pay for me, but you could, but I might be in trouble today. And Kristen willingly, they obviously have another layer of relationship before this, where he can feel comfortable enough to ask for an idol. Yeah. I mean, asking for an idol is like asking for your newborn child. Yeah. You have to be close, right? It's literally asking for a life in this game. Sacrifice your extra life so that I can live, and it might not even be the right call. But you see Kristen willingly, open to giving this up, and how close they are and the relationship they have.
Yeah, and also PD's never let her down, whereas Paulie in the past, has kind of betrayed her with the Ursula vote. So I just think it's an interesting dynamic, when there's an idol and it needing to be played for people.
How they go about it.
And
appeal to people for it. Yeah, interesting. So we get to Tribal.
Okay, Tribal is very, very exciting.
Okay, so AJ, Miles, and Paulie. Well, the first thing Miles does is, before they even vote, is Miles grabs that advantage, grabs Kristen's idol, and he says...
okay, before we go into that, okay. What was your reaction when he... Okay, so I think when we first watch the Tribal... when Miles was like, I'm going to play this advantage, I think I was like, what?
Wrong time.
It's too soon. No, don't do it now.
Yeah, because I thought all you're going to do is piss off everyone in your tribe. You've just gotten off the bottom, and now you're going to fall right back to the bottom after this tribal because you've just pissed off. You've stolen a public idol. There's no way out of this that you're going to look good.
Yeah. What did you think he was going to do? Okay, firstly with the advantage and with the vote. With the idol. Okay.
I had a feeling he was going to do what he did, but after he said, he gets the idol and he says, I don't want this idol to be played unnecessarily and disappear. So he made it sound as if he was doing this in almost like the tribe's best interest. And even in Kristen's best interest, where it was like, I want to protect you from playing this for PD when you don't need to. So I actually thought he was implying that he was going to give the idol back. Or that he was just going to safe keep this idol and return it to somebody. Something like that, but obviously he had bigger plots in mind.
Oh, he did, because he still, tried to reassure everyone and said, okay, don't worry, everyone, I am still going according to the original plan.
Yeah, he said, I'm going to stick to the plan, don't worry.
And he even, took the idol, wrap it up, put it back into his bag, like he's just saving it, Yeah. So people probably are thinking, okay, maybe he's just saving it for himself, rather than playing it at this tribal.
So he takes Kristen's idol, okay? Let's talk about the taking of Kristen's idol as opposed to taking Logan's idol.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I was like, wait, is he gonna backstab? Is he gonna take Logan's idol and then vote Logan out? That was what I thought.
I think that would have been an epic move. Had he taken Logan's idol, gotten everyone to vote on Paulie, and then he stacks the vote against with AJ to vote out Logan, that would have been the ultimate FU move. You know what I mean? What he did, although it is a great move and a great blindside and shocking and it pissed off a lot of people, it's actually quite mild because all he did is what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
He told Kate, Morgan, Laura, AJ, Kaylin, a few people that he wanted to get out PD, and he did that. He didn't go against his alliance.
No, he didn't. And he didn't go against Laura.
Exactly.
Actually, I mean, even though she was pissed off, obviously, and taken aback. Yeah. But it was, to be honest, the same result was actually achieved, but just through different means.
Exactly. The same result that Laura wanted was actually achieved, but just not by her own hand.
Yeah, just not through her own agency.
Exactly. Which makes her feel like...
It's not her move, it became Miles's move.
It became Miles's move. But really... it was a tricky way about getting what everybody wanted all along, but just Logan didn't want. So, you know what I mean? It took away Logan's agency, but gave everybody else what they actually wanted, but only gave Miles the credit.
Yeah.
Which is why people were pissed off. Because I think they all wanted it, but no one got the credit for it, and only Miles got it, and he got to go away smirking like the rat he is.
Well, and
but
also I think he made everyone look stupid. Because they all voted
he
poorly.
Crossed them over.
And then and then they all voted poorly. Okay, he said that he's going to do the same plan. Let's vote poorly. And then in the end, he plays it for poorly.
Let's talk about what Paulie said pre-vote.
Oh yeah.
I really like how Paulie played this. I think Paulie's performance at Tribal. It hasn't always been good, Paulie, at Tribal. He's had some bad Tribals where he's lost a lot of trust, a lot of relationships have been burned. Because I was wondering, why is he so on the bottom where nobody likes him at all pre this episode? Do you know what I mean? And I have to think back to perhaps just relationships and the way he's conducted himself at Tribal.
Yeah.
But it hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, because I think, so he doesn't have a buddy, well, neither does Kaylin, but it's not the fact that he doesn't, say all of them have their buddies, so the whole buddy thing is definitely very important to everyone, but it's the fact that he actually betrayed his buddy Noonan in such a way, he didn't just simply, disagree with her, and they voted differently, which is, maybe cause for fracture, but he actually wrote down her name.
And idled against himself, and voted against her, when he could have idled for her, and voted with her and gotten out whoever that target was at the time. Yeah. There was an opportunity there to do the right play, and he preserved himself and voted against his teammate when he didn't need to. When you have an idol, you don't need to vote against your ally. Yeah. You can vote however you want.
You can.
So it was both self-preserving and...
at the expense.
And backstabbing. Yeah. So it really hurt his reputation on the island,
and I think plus, after that, he still tried to, promote his integrity.
Oh, yeah.
Which was just...
that's the snake oil salesman.
That's the snake oil salesman.
But he said here, look, I've made some mistakes. Yeah. Give me a chance. I don't want to go home because of this. if you give me this lifeline, you'll own my life. And it was really well cut together because we cut to Miles, his mind thinking, the sound effects, ding, 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 cutting back and forth on opposite edges of the tribal. And you could see him connecting with Miles, and Miles going, you know what? I've been on the bottom. I can work with this desperate rat. I'm a rat. You're a snake. Let's do this. And now and it was a well-played trap.
It's a very well-played trap. To be honest, I think Miles put a lot of effort into it. Together with AJ, I'm sure they planned it.
Yeah.
They talked about, what you should say, just so that you don't ruffle too many. You're going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but you don't ruffle too many feathers. You didn't vote against your alliance, which is the most important thing.
And also, you have an idol.
Yeah.
He may not have, and probably would he have done this move if he didn't have an idol?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, right.
So that's the thing. I think that's one of the questions that I kind of wanted to put out, because, say, in the next episode, when people started to gun for AJ instead of Miles, do you think that they suspect he had an idol?
I don't think they did. I know you think they did, but I don't think they suspected. I just think they're wary of him, idol or not. They just think he's up to something, and they just can't quite figure him out.
Right.
I don't know if it's they know he has an idol or not. I just think they just can't figure him out. But yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But obviously the idol has given him a confidence to make this crazy move, knowing that if they counterattack, he has an ace.
Yeah, because I feel like if he didn't have an idol, he wouldn't have played them. He would just have stolen it, kept it for himself as a self-preservation move. Yeah. But then again, this is just speculation. So I do kind of suspect that some people might have actually thought about it. Okay, maybe the reason Miles played such a big move is that maybe he does have a guarantee somewhere. Because people are going to retaliate back.
Yeah, exactly.
And you only do it if you feel secure. You don't do it when you're in a position of vulnerability. There's no way he would have played this if he was on the bottom of, say, the Brawn tribe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, well, maybe they just think he's that careless, reckless, and wild. Do you know what I mean? Which is what we see in the next episode. Shall we move to the next episode then? The consequences and so on?
Yeah, sure. So just to quickly finish it, I think, they call out the votes. Paulie gets majority of the votes. There was 2 on AJ.
Yeah.
3... I don't know.
3 on AJ.
3 on AJ... No, I think that's...
3 on Laura, 2 on AJ. 3 on Laura, 2 on AJ, majority on Thingo.
Majority on... No, so PD went home.
PD went home, sorry.
Sorry. We're getting mixed up with the next episode.
We're all over the place today.
Yeah.
Okay, so ultimately, PD goes home.
Yeah, PD goes home.
And...
Everyone's mad at Miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think... Sorry we're all over the shop today, but looking at the notes... What I really like about this is that it gets everyone to wake up a little bit. And this is what Miles says, right? Before everybody was playing this predictable game where they were just voting out in turn, painting by numbers. They were just voting out the unpopular kid after the unpopular kid after... Whoever didn't have strength or alliances.
Yeah.
It's when you work across these lines and forge alliances that people don't predict that you get interesting gameplay. Think Ferris and Kirby or, George and Kara, you know what I mean? It's when you form these relationships that people don't expect that you can form really power couples and pairs.
I think so, yeah. And
I like this so much because now people are awake. They're like, you know what? We're not just going to pick... It's not high school.
No, it's not
where we're
high
going to
school.
pick off the weakest person here, weakest in inverted commas, but we're going to pick off the gamers, it's going to be a game.
Yeah, I think so. And I think also the best players, for me, are the ones that can actually work with people that they don't like. It's very hard to work with someone that you actively dislike, but it just takes so much skill.
Yeah, and to find common cause.
Right?
Yeah. And to see that,
I think I've actually, and to try and find common ground, and be logical and put aside your emotions because we know it's not easy. Yeah.
Let's talk about AJ. He gets the backlash from Logan, from Laura, everybody.
Especially from Logan.
Oh,
she was like, you burnt me.
They kill him. Everybody just piles on AJ, whereas Miles gets to go giggle in the corner with Laura.
Why do you think that is?
Well, yeah. I think firstly it's because Miles is was at the bottom, and so didn't really have a relationship of strength and trust between he and those girls.
Oh, so he was on a different tribe.
He was on a different tribe, and also when he was temporarily with them, he hadn't built up this level of responsibility to them. He didn't owe them anything.
Yeah.
But AJ, I felt, has spent some time with Logan. He spent some time with these other people. They really feel like there was a responsibility, a mutual benefit that we had agreed on.
Yeah.
And that you violated that. And you were across this plan, and you went with it when you could have prevented it. And so we see AJ copping the flack of everything. Sort of like the brother, when you have two kids.
Oh, yeah.
And one is the naughty kid and one is the responsible kid. And something wrong happens. Who gets in trouble? It's the responsible kid, right? It's the one that's like, I'm so disappointed in you. I expected more of you. Do better.
Yeah,
and it's the other kid's like, well, I expected it of you. You were always going to do this. This is why I don't leave you in charge of the pizza money. Because you were always going to run off and do something crazy.
Yeah.
Go to the arcade.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think like AJ, I mean, the way he like kind of like talks to people is like, oh, you're in this vault with me. What's, I'm trusting you with all of my information. So he doesn't relay this, like, he talks about information, and he wants information relayed to him, but he doesn't necessarily share this information out. So I can see why they would actually be like quite pissed off with him.
Yeah. But, I think AJ just has this aura almost where even though he's done all this crazy stuff, think about the hostages, throwing of the challenges, the unpredictable, jumping back and forth and saying one thing but doing another, people still want to work with him. I think what we're not seeing is the level of relationships that he really has with people, the work that he's put in with people. People genuinely, I think, like him, and we see that with Kate and Morgan saying this episode, so I like AJ.
Yeah.
I don't like Logan. I don't like the way she talks to me.
Yeah.
AJ talks to me with respect.
Yeah.
He's polite. He's charming. He might be lying, but at least he's polite. Whereas Logan speaks down to me. I don't like that as much.
I think it's interesting because they've kind of had like a reverse
arc,
because in the past it seemed like Logan was the one that has these relationships. Except that now she's become like more and more emotional and angry about it. And AJ, he kind of like, is the AI bot, but now it seems like he actually has these relationships. So they've kind of had their arcs inverse in a way.
Yeah. And now AJ and Miles are together and they're going to cause so much trouble.
And also, speaking of arcs too, let's talk about Paulie's arc as well.
Oh, yeah, Paulie.
Yeah. Because
I'm happy for Paulie.
Yeah.
I really like Paulie. I loved his story about his father. That almost brought me to tears. What he's been through. The guy has suffered, and I think he's clearly not popular for whatever reason on the island, but to me, seems great. He seems like a nice, genuine guy. He's finding his way. And I think now that he has a group to really latch onto, he's going to reset, replay, and attack this game, much in the way Miles did too, because Miles made some mistakes early on, was on the bottom, and we saw his arc go from total disaster to recovery and now to ruling the tribe. I think Paulie might be in a good position.
Yeah, I think so. And I feel like what was made a big difference was like, in the last tribal, he actually said, okay, I actually realized I did something wrong. I'm actually willing to atone for it.
Yeah.
So like, like it's okay. People make mistakes all the time, but it's what we want to see. We want it to actually see that they acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And then kind of like, like grow from it. So, so now in that case, speaking of arcs, do you think, because Logan has, had this kind of like cycle where she's gone from like being like Miss Popular to like now kind of like being unpopular, like do you think she might have this comeback as well? Because it seems like at the moment now
no she is not it takes years for people to do that kind of self-work.
So you don't think she can become like a Regina George to like a Lindsay Lohan?
I think it's possible, but that kind of work takes years. It takes therapy. It takes trauma.
Well, we have seen though. In other seasons of Survivor, when people have like the popular jock has kind of like had a fall from grace, and then he kind of like has to scramble.
I feel like those players, like say a Simon Me, they were a little bit more self-aware. I feel like Logan hasn't shown that level of self-awareness to make that kind of transition that quickly. I feel like she's going to go on the rampage after this episode. And I think she's not going to retract and go, oh, I better play this cool. I've made some mistakes. I'm sorry. Let me talk to you. You know, let's work out this out, a path that we can all go for. I think she's just going to murder everyone in their sleep.
I mean, even in Laura, when she leaves, she's like, oh my god, they all have to face the wrath of Logan.
Yeah, you don't pour petrol on fire to put it out. She is fire. She's very fiery. That's a good thing as much as a flawed thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But she has a lot of fire, and you just don't put out a fire by pouring oil on it. Like, she has been provoked, and now I think everyone is going to face the wrath of Khan. Like, she is scary.
Because everyone votes her out. I mean, well, not wanted to vote her out.
Yeah, tries for her head.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. We're going to get to tribal.
Okay, we'll get to tribal. So let's talk about. Let's park that for a little while.
Let's park it for a little while.
But please, but do not dismiss me because
let's park it like a Logan idea.
Yeah, let's park it for a while.
Okay, so the graduates have a reunion.
Yes,
talk about this.
Okay, yeah. So I think Miles, AJ, and Kaylin want the graduates, but then Zara and
it's
Karen.
Like, why? Like,
they have a little bit of like.
Why do you want to get back together? It's like going to an abusive ex and saying, I want us to get back together. Why? It was shit for me.
Yeah, very true. I mean,
but like why would I want that? It was terrible for me. That's what I feel like Zara and Karen are like. Like, you abused us, you pricks. You lied to us. You cheated on us. And you want us to get back together? Huh? But maybe they're out of options and this is the best option forward for them.
Yeah.
I loved her reaction, but why?
Oh yeah, Zara, yeah.
Zara was just like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why do we... But okay, talk about the graduates and let's I want to hear what you have to say about the grads.
To be honest, at first I didn't understand it, but after that when I thought about it, because I guess for Miles, he can't work with Laura and Logan anymore. He does... I'm not sure if he's privy to the information that perhaps Zara had kind of like pissed off Laura, maybe. And so for him, he feels like, okay, well, if I need to get out Laura and Zara, then... Laura and Logan, then Zara will be the best person to do that with because she does have beef against them.
And they just have to somehow prevent the coven getting back together.
Yeah.
Because if those women form that voting block of 5 or 6 with Kristen, that's tough for the boys to beat because there are only 4 boys left.
Yeah, but it's also interesting because I think Miles did say that he probably isn't sure if he can work with Kate and Morgan. Although I do feel like that would be in AJ's favor.
They can work with AJ though.
They can. Yeah, so even in like this buddy thing,
yeah,
you know,
there are
like
some buddy
2
systems.
Yeah, like you know, like some people can work with others while others not.
Yeah, they can be across it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we get to like AJ pitching to Karen on the beach.
Oh, this was good.
About getting back in the graduates.
This was like a semi-abusive, like, I don't mind if you trash me to get close to other people, baby. As long as you love me.
Well, to be honest, he actually is quite upfront about it.
He's good.
Okay, and the thing I like about AJ is that, okay, he doesn't, like, you know, when he knows that there's actually going to be a couple of votes coming his way, regardless whatever tribal, he just plays cool about it. So I think a lot of it comes from his experience as, like, you know, playing poker because they're just, they're used to risk.
Yeah.
You know, that they're not like some people, they're very risk adverse,
cool
you know,
risk.
where it's like they need to know exactly which vote is going, need a lot of control. But you can't ever have that in Survivor.
Exactly. Otherwise, you get into the paranoid death spiral.
Yeah.
And that just makes people nervous. But
Yes.
I think AJ is cool, like we saw last year with Ferris. It composes people. They feel safe voting with him because of his calm.
Yeah.
And that's such an underrated attribute to be calm under pressure. Because when you have a leader or an ally that is calm and composed under pressure, you think, okay, that's the way to go. Whereas this side here is frantic, manic, nervous. Maybe they're going to flip. Maybe they're not going to flip. Maybe they're going to get nervous and write something else. I'm going to stick with this side because I know they're solid. And I think AJ really, conveys that confidence that permeates through the whole of his alliance.
Yeah. And also, I think, like, I mean, even though,
steady.
we've kind of, like, at first said that, maybe he's not that good socially, he's actually very good at talking with people who don't like him. Like Karen obviously, like gets the ick from him.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen throughout this episode, that he and Logan, well, they're gunning for each other, but they are still kind of like talking to each other, even though they say that they don't believe what each other is saying regarding the vote towards tribal.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So like he's actually still talking to people and still opening, still getting information.
Still
and
keeping the doors open, still communicating. Even if you're talking to each other, like when he crosses paths with Logan, and they're both completely bullshitting each other, alright? You're still getting information, and that is that you're BSing me. So even though they're saying, I'm voting Kristen, I'm voting, whoever, they still know something from each other. They're still telling each other information. It's like they're both bluffing, but in a way they're telling each other the truth through their lies because AJ is so good at it.
Yeah, it reminds me there was this. I can't remember if it was Australia or US season. There was a guy who was a diplomat.
Last year, Australian Survivor.
Is it? Yeah. Okay, and he was just very good. He was just like the bald guy, and he was just very good. Ben or something maybe. But he was just very good at keeping channels of communication open.
Exactly.
And
he could solve a lot of crises we have around the world.
Yeah.
Let's talk about reward. Okay, so.
Okay, reward challenge.
It's an American feast. They play basketball sort of type game, and they get boring. But the exciting thing is they get to eat yummy
burgers,
chicken wings,
milkshakes,
mac and cheese. Oh, so good. And then AJ goes, "Should we talk about Strat?" And Miles goes, "Nah. By the way, I'm gunning for Logan." So he totally gives out his plan anyway, but I guess that's kind of like an open secret, so that's why he feels comfortable with saying it. And also I think he's laying a trap here because he has the idol. He wants everybody to think that he's gunning for Logan so that A, they choose a side, and B, they pile on him, which is even better. He can play an idol, save himself, and get out Logan anyway. But then he gives out one of the most important pieces of information. Right, he says Logan has an idol.
Yeah. So I think that was the impetus. I think to give out information.
That was it. That was big because
a lot of people didn't know.
A lot of people didn't know.
Kate didn't know.
Cable didn't know. Kristen.
Yeah, I think Paulie didn't know.
Paulie didn't know. Half people didn't know. And when someone has an idol, they immediately become a threat. They immediately become a priority target because it's almost like, well, they have an extra life, so let's aim at them. We have to flush it at the very least. If not, send them home.
And also maybe this is just Logan. To be honest, if it was Kaylin who had an idol, people would be like, okay, that's okay. We'll just park it for later.
Yeah.
But it's Logan.
And that she hasn't shared it with anyone. This is revelatory to a lot of them because I think many of them had in their mind to vote for AJ perhaps or whoever. But the fact that she has this idol makes her very strong. She's proven herself as a challenge beast. She has social connections. She has sway over the other players. Big move.
There was actually a question that I kind of like had in my head was that, so Karen was there when Miles shared that Logan had an idol. I was just kind of like wondering, did she maybe trying to like suspect? Like, oh, okay, because Logan only shared it with Karen and Kaylin. And she would have definitely told Laura.
So did Karen try to put it together?
Well, how did Miles know about the idol?
Yeah.
Did she like maybe start to suspect, well, was it Laura? Because Laura and Miles are quite...
Okay, it's going to be Laura Kaylin.
Yeah. Or unless if Karen had actually told Zara, she probably would have told Zara.
We didn't get to see her following that train of thought, but it would have been interesting.
There wasn't that. But then I just thought, like if I was Karen, I'd be like, how did you know about that?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that would have been a good conversation to have shown if they had that conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't get it. So why is Kristen mad at AJ? She openly says, like Miles says, are you gunning for me, Kristen? And Kristen says, nah, I want to kill this guy. And we talked about this while we were watching, and it has to do with the vault.
The vault thing, yeah.
The violation of the vault.
Yeah. Because Miles and Kirsten don't have any relations prior to this,
Yeah, so there was no trust to be broken. Whereas with AJ, he broke the vault. Never set up a vault if you're going to break it, is the rule, guys.
So anyway, like back at camp, like the people who don't have the reward, who are not on the reward, I think like... Logan. They're doing their own strat chats. Like, so obviously Logan is assembling all her troops. you know, and she said, I've disliked Miles from the start. I don't think he's got any more dumb moves. That's her words.
Yeah.
He's not threatening, just annoying.
And this peed me off a little bit because she still refuses to give Miles the respect and regard that he deserves as a player, because it shows that it's the same mistake that Max made, that Kent made, that all these other players have made, that thinking that he's some jungle rat. This is Survivor, not, water polo. He may not be the biggest physical threat. He may not be cool, dashing, but he is smart.
Yeah.
And he's strategic and he's cunning. You have to consider him a threat.
Yeah.
But she won't even acknowledge his threat level, even, in a private chat.
Yeah,
and she
I mean,
just
even when
calls him annoying.
Yeah, because it's a great move. And to be honest, I think even like all the other like people who were trying to pacify her, like say Zara, Morgan, they were all like, listen, this is actually a significant move.
Yeah, and we have to match it.
We have to match it, but they didn't downplay it.
Yeah,
they didn't say it was dumb. I think if anything, they're probably like, wow,
Yeah, Zara was like, this was a great move.
Yeah, it's a
He's
great
made
move.
the first resume-making move of the season. We need to catch up, because otherwise we're going to be left with no resume, and he's going to walk out as the winner.
Yeah.
That's the game. Whereas I think Logan, in her, Wag's world, just can't see Miles. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah.
She just can't see him for the person that he is.
Yeah.
And give him the credit that, as a person that he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think this is just like, say, maybe like what you said, like, maybe she might not have that arc where she goes from like, being on top to crashing down, then to kind of like working her way up again.
I'd love to see it, but I doubt
because she's like thinking, okay, this is a dumb move. Yeah, it's dumb for her, but it's actually incredibly smart if you see it from a different perspective.
Exactly.
But maybe she just does not have that ability.
What Miles did was go from literally the bottom of the tribe to now running it. Now everybody is wary of him. He has an idol. He's put everyone off balance. He's restructured the tribe in his favor because of this move. Wake up. Like, the tribe is now his.
He's got guts.
He's got guts.
He
took that chance. It could have backfired and he would have been more in the bottom. But instead, now everybody wants to work with him, as he says. And I think he's right.
Yeah.
I think people really want to work with him. They want to see how far they can ride his coattails.
Gain his trust, and then probably and kill him. Yeah, because like what's better, like killing the smart guy, and then kind of like claiming, I'm actually smarter than he is.
Because a lot of people don't have the social courage to do these kinds of things. It's why a lot of us in life don't take chances that we probably should or deserve. He's able to step on people's toes, offend, violate, break, without any fear, and that's wonderful. Whereas I feel like a lot of the other players, a lot of the risk takers, I feel like were removed from this game, and a lot of the ones left, other than AJ, are a little bit risk averse. And I think now that Miles has made this move,
you think AJ's risk adverse?
No, other than AJ. I meant all the other players other than AJ are risk averse. And now that those two have made this move, they're going to be more conscious of how they play this game.
Yeah, definitely. It was not a dumb move. Anything, it's like the move.
One scene I really loved was them all having a chat, and AJ walks up to Morgan, Kate, and Kristen, and we see Morgan do this throughout the episode. She's holding a coconut, and she acts like the coconut. Hey, Sherlock. She acts like the coconut is a ringing phone, and she's like, hang on, wait, I've just got to do this coconut. I'm just got to take this phone call. I'll be right back in 5 minutes. Because it's an awkward conversation, and AJ is walking in on an awkward, and Morgan just ducks out and evacuates.
I know.
And we see her do this like 3 or 4 times in the episode, where Laura asks her, "How did you vote? What did you do?" And she's just like, "Huh?"
At tribal,
Yeah,
and
tribal.
she's
Like, what?
Unable to answer, or maybe just pretending she didn't hear.
What? I don't know what you're talking about. It's just hilarious.
I can't tell if she's like actually like putting it on, or
I think
actually
she's feigning like dementia. It's just. You're too young to have dementia, Morgan. No.
Maybe she just meaning like, I actually don't know anything, and so it kind of like lets her off the hook, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Let's talk about Karen's plan. So Karen has a plan pre-tribal.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a few notes here. I'll lead you in. Karen's plan. Okay. She wants to vote with the graduates, but snitch information to Logan to play her idol to send AJ home. Okay? So her plan was to vote AJ along with a couple of others.
Yeah.
But act like she's voting with the graduates and at the last moment give Logan information.
Okay.
But what she doesn't do in reality is commit to this plan, and instead she votes all the way with the graduates, writes down Logan, but tells Logan about the idol.
Yeah, yeah.
So she does sort of similar to what we've seen a couple of players in the past few weeks do. She doesn't commit this way or that way. And in trying to be a diplomat and trying to make everyone happy, not only does she not get the move done in sending AJ home, she pisses off both sides.
Yeah, it does seem like, I think, in the
think?
preview of the next episode, I think a few people are like, oh, we can't actually trust Karen now because it seems like she's actually told Logan to play her idol.
She had the split on AJ, okay? All she needed to vote on is on the mind. The split was on Logan, Laura, and AJ. She just needed to shift one of her votes over to AJ. AJ goes home. Idol played on Logan. AJ goes home. She gains a lot of control in the tribe, but she burns her trust with Zara.
And her entire graduates alliance. So that's a lot. That's a big chunk. And and I feel like, okay, for me, I feel like if she had an idol, she might have just gone for AJ. She didn't have an idol.
Okay.
And, if she didn't have an idol and she burned her alliances, she's done.
True, but now is she done this way too? Do you know what I mean? At least that way she gets a move and she can try and assert control with Logan, try and take control. But now I feel like she's just as burned by trying to play both sides because now people don't trust her because you openly whispered to Logan saying, play your idol, play your idol. It looked obvious. A few people saw it. And then the third option I wrote down is maybe she didn't want AJ all along and she just wanted to scare AJ a little bit. You know what I mean? She's talked in the past
Which we've talked about is like not a great idea.
Not a great idea.
Yeah.
So this is good in that you don't pee off anyone, but bad in that you don't get any move done and you don't reorder the tribe at all. You return to the tribe in the same pecking order.
But I think,
I don't know.
like I feel like with Karen, I don't feel like she's going to make a lot of strong moves. Like, okay, so with like I think AJ and Miles, they like playing their own way.
Yeah,
they are like super nerds or super fans of Survivor. They know that this is exciting. They don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They're fearless.
But with like people like say Laura, Karen, they're very risk adverse.
Okay.
They want things to be structured, ordered. They want to know where everything is. Like if one is out of order, they're gonna be, Yeah. Like especially like say with like Laura, I think a few episodes ago, when she was on the Brawn tribe, and they were like telling her, okay, Laura, you might cop a few votes.
Oh, it freaked her out.
And it freaked her out, know. But with other people, like say PD, AJ, they're like, okay, yeah, I'll get a couple of votes. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like Laura, like freak out. Even at tribal, I mean, like even when Laura realized she was like voted out, she was like, wait, but who did you vote? Did you vote for us? Or
yeah, she was very unsettled.
Yeah, she was very, very unsettled. And I feel like Karen is a bit like that.
Okay.
Very risk adverse.
I know, and that's okay. I just feel maybe as an alternative, she could have approached Zara, appealed to Zara to get rid of AJ, gotten her support, and maybe that's what she needed to make this move done. I feel like with this buddy system that we're seeing, a lot of these players are afraid to make a move without their buddy. It's like they're afraid to go to the toilets without their best friend, right?
Yeah.
And had she maybe talked to Zara and said, look, I'm thinking about flipping, but I can't do it without your approval. Will you please come with me on this move? I know, AJ, you're working with him, but this gives us a chance to go down this path. Come with me, Zara, please. And if Zara goes with you, she goes with you. If she doesn't, you still tell Logan about the idol. You still flip your vote. And at least you can say to Zara, I told you what I needed to do. Let's work together again. I don't know. I'm just thinking aloud as to maybe a path that Karen could have taken that would have been better than this and would have gotten her something done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like she took a backward step.
And then all she gained was Logan, who apparently is turning out to be like an atomic bomb.
Yeah.
Like once she's going to find out that...
Loathing. Pure and adulterated loathing.
Okay.
No, she's gonna put loathing.
Okay, so anyway, so we find out that, Logan plays the idol, all votes are on her. Laura goes home, who is like... So this was a true blindside. This was great, okay? Like... like sometimes people have talked about blindsides before. They're not really blindsides because people have always suspected it. This was a blindside.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think we need to get that straight.
Okay, this was a blindside. It was a signature move again, like that signature outfit by Miles. My God, that was tough to look at. Oh, please don't wear this again, Miles. You're just hurting my eyes. You're giving me nightmares. But yeah, everyone's toes are fair game, and like this was a great move. Another great move by the AJ Miles clique.
Yeah.
Now they've gotten out 2 players in a row with 2 great moves.
And they've reduced like their enemy Logan to like a 1 person with a no vote.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you think is next?
I think Miles. The one concern I had about all this stuff that Miles was doing is that maybe he was playing too hard, too soon, too much, right? And I wanted him to maybe pull it back a little bit and just lay low for a few tribals, a few episodes. I hope he does because I'm really rooting for Miles now. His arc is fascinating. I just want him to chill a bit and let others push the moves a little bit more. It gives them agency, makes them feel like they're doing something. So let AJ lead it a little bit and just chill until the heat dies off you a little bit. The threat level dies. Because right now, he's got so much eyes on him that inevitably all these people I fear are going to get together and go, let's get out Miles.
Is that a bad thing though?
It isn't, as long as he's aware of it. Do you know what I mean? As long as he's aware of all the information. But if Kate, Morgan, Zara, Karen... even Kaylin get together and get rid of Miles, he's gone. And I'm thinking about his winner game, not about his iconic game. Yeah. I'm thinking about him winning the half meal.
Okay.
So, like, that's what I hope he does in terms of moving forward.
Yeah. Okay. I think for me, I think the reason he's probably playing so hard now is because he knows he's a target. But then he also can play hard because he has an idol. Yeah. So I guess when he does lose that idol, if he does play it for himself, can he get another idol? You know, they seem like they're very good at finding idols.
This is the third one he's had.
Yeah.
So if anyone can get another.
Yeah. Like I think that they kind of like, I think Miles, I mean, he said that there's certain places that you look for idols. So I feel like, you know, remember like how George, he was always finding idols. You know, so I feel like he might be able to find an idol. Whether he wins or not, I don't think that is
his path.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think it'll be good if he wins, but if not, like, you know, like the best Survivor players have not been the ones who've won. Yeah,
but still, I'm just talking about his path to winning, and if he was to win, that's what I would like to see him do.
Yeah.
Let's talk about novelty betting. Okay, so on Sportsbet, they have released betting odds, okay, as to who will win Survivor, Brains v Brawn. Okay. I'm going to give out the top 5. At 11 to 1, so if you bet $10, you get $110 back, is AJ. At 7 to 1 is Paul, Paulie, Michael. 7 to 1. Equal odds is Karen at 7 to 1. Second is Kaylin at 4 to 1. Leading the charge in odds is Miles at 1.4 to 1. So if you put down $10, you would only get back $14. So it's barely... Those are very, very heavy odds in his favour.
Yeah.
So, look, I think these sports betting things are a rort. Okay? I think they don't set up unless they know some inside information. I hate to spoil it to people, so I hope I haven't spoiled it. But look, it's out there. This is open information out there in the world. Anyone can get it, so it's not like I'm spoiling anything. But I think Miles has a real big chance to win it. And the sports bets are behind him.
Yeah.
Though last year, I will say, Kirby was winning the sports bet up until week 8 or something like that. And then Ferris overtook her in the betting odds. So it's not always
No, and I
concrete.
feel like they sometimes will kind of like make it seem like this
Little
person
bets.
is winning.
They're little bets.
You know, but then after that kind of like push it in the other narrative. So in which case, I'm actually like thinking, I think it will be interesting if like say, because we know like no one's putting any bets on Logan now, but it would actually be interesting if she actually did manage to make a comeback, you know, because like listen, that's what we like in the end, this is drama.
I would love that.
We love a comeback, like we love Miles coming back, you know, like
and
Logan,
now that Miles is on top, maybe it's time for him to fall back
maybe
to
it's
the
time
bottom.
for him to fall back to the bottom.
Back to his rat state. I think if Logan can come back, if she can work with other people, if other people can work with her, I'd love to see it, because she was in a great spot only a week ago. She just needs to take a bit of a chill pill.
Yeah, and maybe sometimes this is what you need. Like, you need to get pummeled to the ground.
As Miles says so offensively, just be a bit more smart and less emotional. Oh, I can't believe he said that to a woman.
More logical. I think he said like Laura is more smarter and more logical.
Oh my goodness. Terrible.
Yeah.
Should we wrap it up around here?
Yeah, okay, so...
Is there much more to say?
No, I think that's it. So all in all, guys, this was a really great 3 episodes. We've really loved, sharing it with you. So thank you so much for listening to the show. This is the Recreate Reality Podcast by Michael and Teresa. You can find us on Recreate on TikTok and Instagram. That's WRECK.CREATE, where you can watch funny short clips of what we've talked about. If you like what you hear, be sure to like and subscribe to our pod. It really helps us a big deal, and we are extremely grateful for any support you give. So we'll be back shortly with the next episodes, so stay tuned.
See you guys. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.